Morning, folks. Today we're going to be using shaving cream from Palmolive. This one here is the red label. Uh, of what I have in the way of Palmolive, my green label seems to be menthol, and this one here does not seem to be that way. But both of them, uh, when you look at the end over there, both of them are green. Not sure what the meaning of all that means outside Palmolive. Usually you relate to green. Anyway, we're going to be following the shave up with Royal Copenhagen. This is 8 ounces. In other words, this container is just that big. And I've got a little bit of the scent description down below, as well as the link to eBay, because different sizes, prices, and it's kind of all over the map. From back when I first bought mine, it's changed just a bit, I would say. I've got a lather whipped up here in a small wooden bowl. That's what it looks like there on the inside. This one here is a horsehair from Vie Long. I like these kind of handles, are pretty nice. And this fits just like this in the bowl. It works out really well. If the scent of the soap seems to be just naturally occurring, it doesn't really have a scent, in other words, of tobacco or anything quite like that. The blade of the day, got half of a blade of a Gillette 7 o'clock. This one here is a sharp edge, and it is in the Focus Evo. And I'll go a little bit more in detail here in just a moment about this particular razor. It does have, this first time you've seen it, does have a flexible head. I have a link down below to Superior Shave. If you're thinking about using one of these, interested in giving it a try, it takes half of a DE blade, like I said, and you can find it at Superior Shave. The gold handle one, last time I checked, is on sale for like $37.50, and that's shipped here in the States, I think plus tax or something like that. But at any rate, in other words, it's a bit cheaper than I guess you might say the everyday price. And it might be something that you could be interested in checking out. I know some folks find the first version, Focus Dynamic, they find that version a little too mild, and this one here, being Dynamic Evo, this one here has a little bit more of a blade feel to it, and you might appreciate this one just a bit more. But the pivoting head, I think, I think that's where some people kind of get tripped up with the razor. I have a tendency to treat it as a single edge that's got a fixed head, and that's how I work with it. I find that I kind of see how it's beveled right there. I find that I get better shaves that way. There's going to be a clicking sound, and that clicking sound should happen at the end of your stroke, not in the middle of your stroke. The way I interpret that clicking sound in the middle of your stroke is that you're exceeding, I guess you might say, the ability of the pivoting head, and it's going to click on you when that takes place. But I treat it, like I say, like just like it's a fixed head, and allow the I guess you might say, allow the pivoting head to guess you might supplement my pour technique. For instance, if I get my angle off just a little bit, it'll pivot with the angle, especially if you're looking at tight spaces around your facial hair or the neckline, jawline, whatever it happens to be. But I find this one here, like I say, it's got a little bit more blade feel. I feel like I'm pretty proficient with either one of them. Like I say, the first version is pretty mild, but I've been able to get good shaves with it. I guess you might say I've learned how to get it to work for me. I know for other folks, I've seen some videos of they weren't too terribly, I guess you might say, happy with the shave they were getting with it. But I think it has a lot to do with just trying to learn how to use it. It has been, as goes for cartridges and pivoting heads and whatnot, cartridges, I have not used a cart in a good number of years. And so my, I guess you might say, muscle memory due to shaving with a cart it's just not there. So anything I do with a pivoting head, I have a tendency to start with the idea that it's a fixed head. So I never had that being an issue, but for some folks that remember shaving with a car of recent history, might try to use this pivoting head that way. And I'm just not real familiar with it, so I've always started out with just the fixed head idea and allow that pivoting head to compensate for poor technique, if you will. Now, if you use it on a daily basis, you'll get more familiar with it and learn how to use that pivoting head, working it around your face and whatnot, and you'll get a lot more proficient at it. But for me, I just stick with the standard idea, letting that pivoting head make up for poor technique, if you will. Or maybe in this particular case, being a little distracted. But I get pretty good shaves with either one of them. Well, like I said, there is a bit of a blade feel with this one here, so if you've had the first version, the first Dynamic, you might appreciate the Evo just a bit more. And it's at a price that some folks might be more apt to give it a try. I say around $37, $38 is a pretty reasonable price. I think the everyday price for this one here might be around 68 bucks or something like that. It's a bit more expensive, in other words. But it's the gold handle is the one that's on sale, though. If you're looking for a red handle like this, you're going to pay the full price, in other words. At least at Superior Shave. In case you're wondering, my pre-shave routine, I already put a hot towel to the face, put some artist shaving pre-shave oil on, and I'm thinking about switching here pretty soon. Pre-shave oils. Like I say, there is a little bit of a blade feel here, so I don't, some folks would not consider this being a mild shaver. But it is easy to use, at least for me it is. And it only takes half of a DE blade, so it has that going for it also. One of the things I should also mention is that, as goes for design ways, the first Dynamic in this Evo, there is a slight difference. The handle appears to be the same. I have not noticed anything different about it. But as it goes for the cap and the base plate, there is a difference. Excuse me. The first version Dynamic, the tolerances are pretty tight on the one that I have. The cap and the base plate fit together really tight. Now this one here, the tolerance is a little bit, I guess you might say looser. It's not quite as tight, and there's a little bit of a design difference also in the way that the base plate and the cap is made, with grooves and a couple of posts to help hold that blade in place. Now, I never really found I never had any problems, don't have any problems with the first version as it goes for holding in the blade. I've been able to use a DE blade that's been pre-cut. It is recommended to use a DE blade snapped in half with these shavers, but the first version I had no problem using a DE blade that was already pre-cut. Now this version here, with the tolerance of being not quite as tight, I would go with snapping a DE blade in half, because this top cap is a little bit more on the loose side, and it's to the point where the first version I would not be concerned about no blade in it and the cap staying in place and wouldn't worry about it. This one here is loose enough to the point where if you don't have a blade in it, it may have a tendency to slide loose and it might fall on the floor, and it's, in other words, it has that much of a difference. It is something to be aware of, and for some folks it might be, oh, how can you say, a little off-putting. It just depends on what you're used to and what you're expecting. But for me, it was a noticeable difference, very noticeable. But with the blade in it, there's no problem with it. You can kind of hear some clicking right through there. I will say that this particular shaver, the way it's designed, It doesn't like this pre-shave oil. It does not glide across my face quite as well as if I'd use like Phoenix Artisan Accoutrements pre-shave cube or the stick or anything quite like that. In other words, this particular oil seems to create just a little bit of a drag across the top. And matter of fact, this one here might even benefit. In other words, if you use oil as a pre-shave, you might forego it the first time or two just to get used to the razor. You might find that it works better probably without the pre-shave oil, at least this art of shaving. I think Taconic pre-shave oil is a lot different. I think it'd work better with that one there. But it seems like there's a bit of a drag with this particular pre-shave oil, because of the way that this razor is designed. A lot of that cap is riding right across your face. In other words, just not the bevel edge, but more of it, where the cap is. And I think it's that pre-shave oil is creating a little bit more of a drag, as opposed to not using any pre-shave oil or any pre-shave at all, or at least use a soap. I think you'll have a different experience if you're using pre-shave oil. Nice, smooth. I mean, in other words, just going through my normal routine, I don't feel much of anything left on my face in the way of whiskers and whatnot. Nice smooth shave. Like I say, I'm used to it. I've used single edge shavers, so I'm used to shaving with them, and this one here is pretty nice. I got a little bit of stinging right there. I do enjoy using it, especially when it comes to if you're a little distracted, maybe you're not quite on your A game, if you will, or in a hurry. It is really easy to use one of these kind of shavers. Pretty forgiving, at least it has been for me. Any time that I'm a little distracted and got my technique just off just a tad bit. It will also, I should say, you might end up with some bad technique, bad form if you use this very long. And that the amount of pressure that you're using with this razor, you can get by with using quite a bit of pressure with it and not get cut or nicked. And that is something to be aware of. Tony's harassing my daughter. You could end up with some bad technique, bad form with that sort of thing. That's what the restrictor looks like. It is naturally opening, if you will. There's not a plastic restrictor, it's all glass. Now, as goes for what my nose picks up with this aftershave, is it starts out, at least my nose picks it up, a little bit of a powdery scent to it, but then that dissipates and then it goes through, its dry down phase. To me, it's a very nice scent. This could be kind of tough to find at a reasonable price nowadays. I got mine a lot cheaper than what the going price is today. Not only that, I also know that the various different sizes could be in 1 ounce containers, might be in a 4 ounce container. This one here's 8. I didn't pay, in other words, upwards of $25, $35. I got mine a lot cheaper than that. So prices definitely have changed. I should mention it also comes in a musk. You might find a musk in this this name brand, Royal Copenhagen. But as it goes for the size, I think the biggest size I've seen with the musk in is 2 ounces. So anyway, just throwing that out there. So when you click on the link, if you're interested, it brings up all that stuff on eBay. So it's quick and easy for you to look through it and see what all you'll find. But great shave, no nicks, cuts, weepers, or anything of the sort. Just like I say, a little bit of stinging right there, but nothing unusual. But had a great shave this morning. Hope everybody's doing well. Stay healthy, stay safe, and smooth shaves to you.